They wanted a ceasefire now, and you know what? They got it.
And still resist as we call on the world to take serious actions to stop the injustice and to stop the ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people.
It is my stance as a Morehouse man, nay, as a human being, to call for an immediate and a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip.
You should honor the lives of the call for a ceasefire in Palestine.
Ceasefire! Ceasefire!
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and yes, the left finally got its ceasefire in Gaza, but is not very excited about it. You think they would be, given that they have been braying for a ceasefire for years, using every single soapbox they could find on college campuses, in the streets, Hollywood award shows, whatever. And on top of that, they maintained that this conflict involved a no-kidding genocide in Gaza, and now it's stopped. And they're not very excited about it. Why? Well, at least two reasons. One, when they said ceasefire, what they meant was a ceasefire that entailed an Israeli defeat. Instead, we have a ceasefire that is part of an Israeli victory. Very important difference and very unwelcome for the left. Two, they can't stomach the idea that Donald Trump deserves credit for this agreement. They can't say on the one hand, we think the President of the United States is a dangerous authoritarian, but on the other hand say, but we really appreciate all the work he's done around the world for the cause of peace, including in Gaza, stopping this grinding, destructive conflict. Too much cognitive dissonance there. Instead, they're mumbling and looking at their shoes, but there is no doubt that this is the biggest victory yet for Donald Trump's highly hyperactive, highly transactional form of diplomacy. It is utterly distinctive. It is highly personal. He is doing this his way. Cue Sinatra.
I took the blows and did it my way.
It turns out that an adult lifetime spent maneuvering in the media and real estate worlds of New York City, searching for and using every ounce of leverage was better preparation for high-level international diplomacy than if Trump had spent decades on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Because of Trump's real estate background, he's all about deal making, and it's no accident that he turned to two men who are also from that real estate world, and by the way, also have nothing to do with the foreign policy establishment, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, to help cinch this deal. This agreement is a tribute to avoiding the well-worn ruts of Middle East policy. The boring, conventional, predictable approach of the foreign policy blob wasn't going to work here, and it didn't work here. Even though a representative in good standing of that blob, Anthony Blinken, Biden's former Secretary of State, maintains Trump only succeeded because he adopted Biden's policy. No, that is preposterous. So-called international opinion maintained the way to make progress in this conflict was to isolate Israel and cut off Israel. What did Trump do instead? He armed Israel. He bombed Iran. He squeezed Qatar to get them to bring Hamas to heel. In the beginning of all of this, the key to the success, most fundamentally, was being strongly in favor, strongly pro-Israel. Check out this moment from Trump's extraordinary speech to the Israeli parliament.
I love Israel. I'm with you all the way. You will be bigger, better, stronger.
The traditional approach to U.S. diplomacy in the Middle East is you got to go straight down the middle between Israel on the one hand and the Arabs or the Palestinians on the other. Trump's insight and the insight of his team was, no, you have to be bonded with Israel. Then the Palestinians or Arabs don't think they can split you from Israel and don't think they can get concessions that way. And eventually they realize they have to be flexible. Then you get concessions from them. And then when you get concessions from them, you can go back to Israel and get concessions from Israel because the Israelis now trust you because you've been with them through thick and thin. Another key thing is that if you want to please both the Israelis and the Arab states, you need to take Iran down a peg. This is something Barack Obama, despite getting handed a Nobel Peace Prize for nothing, never realized with his bizarre obsession with appeasing and accommodating Iranian power. Trump, what does Trump do? He bombs Iran. And everyone in the region, whether they say it publicly or not, is pleased and reassured. And then finally, there's the Trump personal element. His policy making at its best involves optimism, it involves an unwillingness to take no for an answer. It involves a fierce sense of urgency at all times and involves a creativity that oftentimes is considered reckless or totally unrealistic. But this can work. We saw it in the first term with Trump finally figuring out how to secure the border near the end. We saw it with Operation Warp Speed. People didn't think that was possible, and we saw it as well with the Abraham Accords, a key precursor to this Gaza agreement. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. In this sense, Trump is usefully an unreasonable man. Everyone around the world needs to be at least a little bit afraid of him, and he's willing to talk to anyone and consider nearly anything if it advances his goals. Now, it's certainly true that phase 2 of this agreement is going to be much harder to pull off. It involves disarming Hamas, creating a technocratic government in Gaza. If this were to happen, it would be fantastic for Israel's security and tremendous, very importantly, for the lives of Gazans. There's no doubt that Trump's vision of a Middle East that embraces normality, that's all about peace and prosperity, is a profoundly correct one. And it'd be great if his fiercest critics on the left acknowledge that he has taken a step towards realizing this vision and positively work themselves to bringing it about. Now, of course, that's not going to happen. And in the meantime, all of us can hope that Donald Trump, in the fullness of time, once again proves them all wrong. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.